Hey everyone, it's Brian Porter. We thought we'd do something different with this video. We're going to actually walk you through the process of creating one of our semi-hollow Les Bois models. We thought it'd be interesting for you just to see some of that process, kind of a step-by-step of how we go about creating a guitar, from selecting woods to machining to carving to finishing, and then obviously fretwork and final assembly. And we'll even get down to how we make the pickups for that as well. So I think you'll really like this video. We will try to release progress on this specific guitar weekly. We'll go through anything that we encounter in terms of even things that go wrong or mistakes or redos, anything like that. So we're just gonna literally film this process and let you guys in on it. So this is a look at the guitar that we're gonna be recreating. Obviously not this specific one, but we're gonna walk through the process of that semi-hollow construction and how exactly we're gonna go about it. So let's head back to the shop, and for this build I will show you some of the woods that we've selected for this project, and we'll go from there. Okay, so we're back here at our wood selection area. This is kind of where we start with storing some of the woods. We've got the fretboard blanks over here. We've got the rosewood and ebony, some maples for our necks. This particular one, we're going to be using a really cool spalted maple piece that I found. We're going to be starting with that. It's kind of the feature piece. We're going to do a couple extras with this guitar as well. So we'll go over and look at the piece that we're going to use for the top first, and then we'll talk about what other woods that we're going to incorporate in this build as well. All right, so we're over here at the CNC. This is a look at the top wood. We've got a lot of tape on here because we've actually already resawed the top, so you can see the separation of the pieces here. I'll look back at the camera screen and make sure you can see that. One thing just to note, this is not going to be a very high budget kind of video. We're just going to go through the process, literally just talk you through each step. So we're not trying to overproduce this. It's going to be maybe come across as very basic and amateur, but that's kind of the point. We want to just show you a real look at what it takes to build one of our guitars. So this particular piece of spalted maple, we've got the tape on there just to hold it together after we resawed it. But this is it's got some really amazing stuff going on. Got a lot of cool patterns. Take a look at the book match here as I open it up. So I'll bring the camera up here a little closer. So you can see we've got a very cool book match. We've actually kind of put in silver. You can see the outline of the guitar there. We're going to go with a dual humbucker setup for the Les Bois here as well. So you can see kind of where the end of the guitar is going to lie there, kind of where the spalted pieces are going. With this being the semi-hollow, we're also going to have the F-hole over in here, and we obviously going to go with the dual humbucker routes as well. One of the cool things that we're going to do with this one as well is we're going to go with something different that we've never tried with our semi-hollow. We're going to actually do a trim line, we're going to call it. It's not necessarily binding, but a trim line. So around the edge of the body, instead about 1/4 inch, will be a line that we'll fill with epoxy, black epoxy, to kind of give a solid uniform line up against the randomness of the, almost we call them like the ink lines of the spalted maple. So we're also going to do that around the F-hole as well. So let's take a look at the design part of it. So as we get the main parts of the guitar designed, we'll talk about kind of that process as well. And then we'll get into a little bit more of the woods of this build as well. We still have to go purchase a couple of those pieces of wood. This is going to have a mahogany back, and we're going to do a mahogany neck with an ebony fretboard on this one. So let's take a look at that design process. Okay, so we're over here at the computer. We've got our design software opened up. This is VCarve, which we use to control and design the CNC tool path, so you'll be able to kind of see that process in a little bit of a preview here. So you can see the basic shape of the Les Bois. We've got the string through mounts towards the back here. I'll sit down so I can kind of point stuff out as we go, and I'll leave the camera fixed here so you can kind of see that whole process. So we've got our string through and bridge mounting here. We've got the dual humbuckers. We're also considering a couple other bridge and pickup route options on this, so we may change this up. This is kind of where we start with the design. These circles here are going to be your chambers. Obviously you can see the F-hole there. And one nice thing about this is when we go into preview mode, we can kind of preview everything This is going to look a little weird because the chambers are going to be in here. We'll go in here and we're going to just preview all the tool paths. So this is kind of an animation of the operation of the build, essentially. So you kind of see the CNC doing its thing virtually. We'll get to where we can see this. So this is actually just showing that carving out of the F-holes. You can see it just animating that whole thing there. So chambers, you can see how the chambers are going to sit in. Obviously there's going to be a top piece of wood there. One of the things you also notice around the outsides is we do have some tabs to hold this piece in after we mount it on the CNC. And then what we can do is, as we flip this around, we can kind of see what it's going to look like. Obviously the F-hole is not going to go all the way through. That's just telling us to cut that through the top. So it looks a little funny on there, but that's kind of the steps that we need to take. So we got our electronic area. You can see where our chambers sit, and then where the F-hole sits on top of that chamber. And then we got our pickup routes here. So now that we've got this preview set, you can also see I'll zoom the camera in here too so you can see the lines. So if you look over on the outside edges, out here you can see a little trim line that we're going to add. We were talking about that in the last section. And we're going to go ahead and let me get rid of one of these here really quick. You can see the chambers, kind of how they sit, and the blue is just the tool path there. So we'll have around the F-hole as well, and then around the side there is those grooved patterns, which will look really nice when it's finished. So that's kind of our design. From there, we choose the size of the bits. We choose how we want the pockets to be. Obviously, we're drilling all the holes for the neck bolts as well, neck pocket itself, the electronic cavities, all that's done here. And we also are doing the back plate operation as a separate step as well. So that kind of gives you an idea of a little bit what the guitar is going to look like on the underside, and then obviously we have to process the wood and set the guitar up, and there's multiple steps where we chamber the body first, then we add the top wood, and then we cut the whole thing out. So we'll go through that in some future episode, but our next episode will be about selecting and processing all of the wood for this build. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys in the next episode.